Welcome back to another episode of the Digital Wrap-Up. My name is Riley, and I'm the host, and I'm the CEO of Harden Digital and Design. Welcome to 2024. This is the first podcast of the new year, and I'm happy to have Kaylee, as you can see, joining us today. We're going to do a look back at our 2023 as a business and some of our favorite things, some stats from the year, what we enjoyed, and then maybe look ahead at some exciting things that we have planned for the new year as well. But before we get into that, I just want to apologize if I cough on the stream or the podcast at all today. Getting over a sickness, so I'm 90% over it, but I will try to hit the mute button quickly. No guarantees though, but 2023 was a great year for us. It was our first full year at the office. Had a lot of exciting projects, a lot of new business, a lot of old business that we carried over, obviously, but we're going to talk about some of those things, what went well for us as a business, what didn't go well for our business, as Kaylee makes some notes here last minute.
I thought of another thing.
Yeah, it was a really exciting year for us, and we have a lot of exciting things planned already for this year. So Kaylee, first off, thank you for joining me again. Welcome to the show. We had some technical difficulties with the streaming setup for the podcast today, so hopefully it's all worked out now. But before we jump into all of that, if you are not watching on YouTube, definitely check it out. Go to youtube.com/@HardenDigital. You can see both of us on camera here. And it's a little more enjoyable if you are into watching YouTube videos or listening to your podcast, watching your podcast there. So, overall, Kaylee, first off, how was 2023? First full year in the office, a lot of exciting things.
I feel like I was way more productive than past years.
That's good.
I'm the whole reason that we have an office in the first place because I didn't do well working from home. So that should be an obvious answer for me. But I do think I was much more motivated, and I was here, 95% of the time.
Yeah.
So I think it was successful. It's our first full year. It's not supposed to be like we went viral and magically got millions of dollars. So I'd say growth-wise, we could have done better, but about as I expected for year one. Yeah. I don't know.
I will say, I mean, I haven't ran all of the numbers to get officially, I was sick the past 6 or 7 days, and I actually took time off. I didn't do anything work related. So I was planning on having those numbers, but felt good to just relax and not worry about work. It's a good time to do it around the New Year's and the holidays anyways. But I haven't ran quarter 4 numbers to completion yet, but every quarter up to quarter 4, we saw positive growth quarter over quarter, which means we had to have outgrown last year in terms of profit. So I would say it was successful. I think there's definitely things that both of us know we could have done better or could have capitalized on more or wish we could have done more of. But I think overall, a successful year. In terms of projects, I mean, there's definitely some downfalls. We can talk about those later, but let's just go ahead and talk just stats-wise, what you've done specifically, Kaylee, because we talk a lot about the social media and some about the websites, but I think our bread and butter is social media. But we've had one of the difficulties, I think, this past year was growing the graphic design side of the business.
Yes.
And not saying that we didn't have graphic design projects, because as you'll see soon, we had projects. It's just a different service offering in terms of the social media stuff is monthly recurring revenue, where the graphic design stuff this past year was a lot of smaller one-off projects.
Yeah.
So our goal was to grow the monthly recurring graphic design stuff, but it's just, that's a hard market to get into.
Yeah. I don't know many businesses that have a need for that aren't already filling it with someone on their staff.
Yep.
So there's probably some out there, but finding them that are big enough to need design services regularly but don't have a department for that, that's a very small window. So
yeah,
if I can just do more one-time projects, but like 17 of them a month, that would be great.
Yeah.
Be a little overwhelming, but be good for me.
Yeah. So speaking of graphic design and projects and everything, let's go ahead and go over your stats for the year, because you've done a much better job than me at compiling stats. Break everything down, and I'll jump in on things that kind of overlap with what I've done and what I've mentally prepared. So,
well, I did have 19 new clients this year. So a lot of those were just a one-time, they needed a brochure for something.
mm-hmm.
But 19 new ones in a year is really good.
Yeah.
And if they keep coming back, fantastic.
Yeah, I think before we go any further, and sorry to interrupt again, but the thing with the smaller projects and the one-off clients is a lot of times they do come to us for one-off things, but then 6 months down the road or a year down the road, they have something else come up. So it's not every month, but it tends to be the same people do come back for
so long as I
others,
do a good job.
other smaller projects down the road, which you do a good job. Everybody says so, and I don't think we've had one issue with anything design related. So,
and out of those 19, probably 17 or more of them were referred to us by someone else.
Yeah.
Or were people that I knew personally, and they were like, hey, I know you do this. So we're not out there getting the random people searching us on the internet like maybe would be better, but
yeah,
the word of mouth and the success we've had with people referring us has been great.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to more project specific stuff.
Project specific. I like my stats and I like my numbers. So I did 17 logos this year. Some of them were just small things. Like I do a lot of logos for studies or clinical trials or something that it might get used on one piece of paper, and that's the history of it. But it's a logo, so I counted them. My favorite one, I believe it was this year, was for the pickleball tournament.
Which one? The Apple one?
Nope, not the Apple one. That was last year, I think.
The alternatives one?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I just like
thinking out domestic violence.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like those like badge type of fun logos, and hopefully they keep using it every year for the tournament. So I think that one was cool.
Everybody, I played in that tournament and helped. I didn't help run it, but I did play, and everybody really liked the logo. So that's 2 logos for pickleball that we've done in the past 14, 15 months that people have loved. So
maybe that's going to be our new thing.
Designing logos for pickleball
tournament logos.
Hey.
So 17 logos for me in a year is a lot, I think.
Yeah.
I did 208 book pages.
And what are those books like?
I'm counting, one was more of a portfolio type situation, but it was over 100 pages, so I'm calling it a book.
Yeah.
And that was something I had never done. That was more of an academic type project, and there were a lot of regulations, and that was me and him trying to figure out exactly what we could even do and linking PDFs to other PDFs. And it was a big learning curve for that one, but it turned out really cool, and hopefully it went well for him. The other book was an actual like hardcover book. It was the last one in a 3-part series that I had done for the past 3 years. So it was nice to finish that project.
It's like a historical book.
Yes, for the Herald Bulletin. It's written by the Madison County historian. This is the 5th book of his I've done.
Wow.
This was a 3-part series. So I guess for the last 5 years I've been doing those.
That's
He keeps writing them and they keep buying them. So
yeah.
They're usually 100-ish pages. I think this one was 96.
Jeez.
Yeah. They're fascinating. I mean, for someone who doesn't live in Madison County, it's still fascinating.
Yeah.
This one was all about like disasters and major catastrophes, which is bad, but
Yeah. It's
pretty
interesting reads.
interesting. Some of the times I read what I'm designing if it's something I care about.
Yeah.
Some of the times I don't, but that's okay.
Yeah. So I'm looking at your list and jumping ahead because the books are kind of in relation to the magazines, and magazine pages are on your last, but go ahead and talk about number of magazine pages, and then I want to bring something up here.
I did 640 magazine pages. And out of that was probably, I don't know, 13 magazines split up into those amount of pages. I didn't actually figure out that number. I should have, but
Yeah. So the interesting thing that I wanted to bring up here is we are very involved with the magazine, not magazine world, but like just we're involved a lot in Madison County with the Visitors Bureau and I don't know what they're technically called.
the Herald Bulletin.
The Herald Bulletin, all these publications in Madison County where Kaylee does a lot of work for them with the books, the magazines, all of that kind of comes from Madison County, which is sweet that we're heavily involved there, but we're not involved in a lot of other stuff outside of the magazines and publications and things. So in terms of overall business for looking back, and goals for this year, being more involved in Madison County. I live in Madison County. We're obviously, our office is in Tipton, so it's a little different, but getting involved more in Madison County, I think, would be something that hopefully we can expand on beyond just the design side of things.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of businesses there, too, that probably need
more
our
than
services.
Tipton County, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another cool note about the magazines is we did bring on more reoccurring magazines, which is awesome.
That was my thing I was the most proud of this year.
Okay, we'll wait for that then. We'll
He's
circle back to
jumping ahead because he didn't read my notes. Okay, let's see. We did book pages, magazine pages. I did 9 infographics. Probably all 9 of them were with information I don't even understand. Yeah. I get a lot of requests for graphics from data or from 12 pages of text that they want to try and mash that into one graphic. And they end up looking great. Most of the time I have zero idea what any of it means. So I think those are cool to do. It's just sometimes it makes me feel kind of stupid.
Yeah, but I mean, it shows that they like it. Like, you're able to decipher it enough, or it helps them in a way. You obviously have to break it down and figure it out on your own, but
yeah, shout out to Joel for helping me decipher some things.
Yeah.
He made me a spreadsheet this year, and we had to do all this rearranging of numbers so I could even understand what was going on.
But that's the power of infographics, right? You take all this confusing data when you're trying to relay it and inform other people. Infographics.
Inform the regular
the
readers
non-super
like me.
involved out in that specific study or industry, whatever it may be.
Which I guess you're right. That is the whole point of it, is trying to make it easier to digest that huge amount of information. So,
So if you have tons of information that you're struggling to really convey in a nice way to your audience, infographics are the way to go, and Kaylee can definitely help with that.
And I counted my Super Bowl infographic that was just for fun.
Oh, that's all right.
I also did 117 social media graphics.
Nice. Mostly for us, right?
Mostly for Gooseberry.
Oh, yeah. Duh.
A lot of them were for us. Some of them were for Regenstrief.
Yeah.
A lot of them were for my sorority.
Does that include the 35-ish plus that you made for Best of Tipton?
Oh, yeah. I counted all of them.
That was an overhaul.
We only used like 6, but
yeah,
I made them, so it counts. I did the work. I also put on there that I personally helped with or completed 3 websites. That has never been my thing. That's kind of been your undertaking in the past because I think I was a little scared of it. But now that I've done them and I've done them on different platforms, I feel like I'm a lot more comfortable than a couple of years ago. I would have been like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And on the subject of websites, we did several others beyond just the 3 Kaylee helped on. I think we were 6 or 7 total for the year, ranging from like big overhauls. Like we did the Tipton Municipal Utilities, which was a huge project. They had tons of information. We had to condense it and get rid of all of the unnecessary stuff and then put it on a new designed website. So that was a big overhaul process. We're in the final stages of wrapping up another big website for a local company, which is a fun one. But yeah, we did a couple small websites. We've done a couple of bigger projects. The Boys and Girls Club was last year, right? Mm-hmm. Darn, can't count that one.
But my sorority website.
Your sorority project
I did the
was
local
big.
one.
Yeah.
That was just like my idea because we needed one. And then I don't know exactly even how it got brought up, but our national board wanted to redo their website. So I did my sorority's national website.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
That was a big undertaking as well because it probably had never been updated ever.
Yeah.
And that's also a lot of people who have opinions. And it had to pass all the different board members and all the different checks. And
yeah. Which, side note, but when you are like working on like not creating your website, but when you're either redoing your website or in the process of building your website from scratch, it's best to really designate like 1 or 2 people within your company who's kind of in control of look and feel and content on the website. Not saying that like you can't get input from other people, but from our end, we shouldn't have to be communicating with 5 or 6 different people within your company because
that gets confusing.
It's very confusing. Everybody has different wants and feels and likes in terms of what they like on a website. But at the end of the day, it should be 1 or 2 people's decisions. And that's what that's ultimately what it comes down to. Because if we're dealing with, the boss or the CEO or the owner or whatever, but then somebody lower down the company chain is providing input as well, then you have conflicting stuff, and it's like a whole like political mess within building a website. So,
and I think a lot of times when you're making major changes, some people get a little gun shy and they're like, yes, we want to make changes. And then as soon as you start making changes, they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know. That's a lot. Yes, but if you want it to be the best it can be.
Yeah.
Like we cut full pages, full just huge information out of our sorority sites.
Yeah. So the utilities, but it was just stuff nobody was ever looking at.
I remember when he was in for a meeting, it was just like, nope, that page can go, that page can go.
Yeah, he was actually really good about that. He just X stuff, just didn't care. He's like, people come to our website for 5 things, and here are those 5 things. By law or code or whatever, we have to have a couple other things just for information purposes. But other than that, let's get rid of everything else, which is awesome.
He reminds me of that meme that just came out last week or right before the new year that was like, in 2024, the theme is going to be nope.
Yeah. Yep.
That's all my stats.
Cool. Well, that's, a lot. We
That's
talked about
just me,
Yeah, we talked about, not having a lot of reoccurring graphic design stuff, but there was a lot of graphic design work done this year, which is awesome.
I should have kept track of like hours I spent, but that would be.
That's, I mean,
I
you
just
invoice
like
by the hour a
miscellaneous
lot.
statistics.
Yeah. So I'm sure it'd be not
a lot.
Terribly hard to track down, but stats wise, across the board, social media clients, we gained 2 new big clients. This year we ended a couple clients, parted ways with a couple clients too. So there was some up and down throughout the year. Just one of the new clients we signed on was a temporary contract while they brought on somebody else in-house, which is fine. One of them ended up just not working out. For, no hard feelings on either side. Just sometimes people have different opinions and want more control than they realize when bringing us on. And then it's like we start creating stuff and they kind of want more control or want things done a different way. So it is what it is. Like, that's why we do the 3-month period of, hey, it's a trial. Does the process work for both of us? Does communication work? Does the stuff that we're creating fit into what you were thinking, not thinking? Like, that's why we do the 3 months. And then if it doesn't work after that, or even after 4 or 5 months, then so be it.
Yeah.
And
a lot of times I feel like they don't even know how much goes into it necessarily beforehand. And then when we come on, then they're like, wow, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is a lot. And maybe we're either not ready for that or.
Yeah. I mean, like, there was one newer one that we brought on that we're parting ways with, that they didn't have any social presence. They had a LinkedIn, but then we had that first consultation, like, holy crap, there's actually a lot of stuff we could actually be posting. Like, there is, like, until you sit down and think about it and kind of build out a plan or strategy or look at it, you might not realize that every company, no matter what industry you're in, there's a lot of content you could be putting out there.
Yeah.
But, sometimes do we want to be putting that out there? Do we want to just focus on one thing or the other? And
even for us, like, we had a whole meeting about how we could better, because we'd focus so much on all of our clients' social media that a lot of times we didn't sit down last year and plan a year in advance what we wanted to do like we are this year.
Yep.
Because it seems like, we know what we're doing. We should be able to do it. But then once again, we got busy, and like anybody else,
yep,
it got pushed, and
comes down to a time thing.
Right. So
and
now
planning.
Now we've planned, and I have to do a podcast every month.
At least one every month. Potentially 2.
And a blog. So yay for everyone who wants to read those.
Yeah. So that's an overall business thing that we're doing, is more strategic content creation on our end, which hopefully we'll see growth. More to come on that
please
later.
Listen to my podcast.
Yeah, more to come on that later this month, actually. So moving on with Kaylee's stuff. What was your favorite project of 2023?
My favorite project.
I feel like you're going to steal mine, but.
What is yours?
Go.
Mine was everything spare rings.
Yep. Same. I didn't even think about spare rings when we were talking about websites, but yeah, go ahead and talk about spare rings.
Well, I just liked it because we never get to do anything from like the beginning, like thought process stage to the end.
Yeah.
Like, we got to do every aspect of it with them because they had the idea, they had the product, and they came to us and were like, we need help.
Yeah.
Because there's so much to do to launch a product, and we had never done, at least I hadn't. So just seeing it go from beginning to end and getting to brainstorm with them, and that was really cool. I got to learn a lot about a lot of different aspects of it. And
yeah, I mean, they really did come to us with, here's a prototype. We don't even have a name for it yet.
Yeah.
We have some ideas on names, but we don't have a name. We don't have a logo. We don't have anything. We need you to help us with all of that. So we brainstormed a name, and they went and checked to make sure it was all good and available and everything. We started with a logo, and then we built out the logo. We built out the website. We designed their packaging for their boxes. It's a silicone ring. So Kaylee designed the cover for the box that they shipped them out in. Like, it was a whole, like,
things we've never really done.
Yeah. Like we've done bits and pieces of all of this in terms of logos, websites, designing, packaging, stuff like that, but we never conceptualized it and put it all together in one.
Yeah.
So
and part of the reason it's my favorite is because you just set a meeting with these people that you knew because you worked with Reagan, and they came in and we had no idea what this product was. We had like zero information besides they were going to launch a product. Mm-hmm. And they showed up, and what do you know? It has to do with tractor pulling. And that, the coincidence of that, and then me being like, oh my gosh, I'm actually going to understand what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Was really, it was just fun that it was in a world that I am somewhat familiar with. You were like, what do these words mean? And I got to teach you some things, which was exciting.
For the spare rings, so go to sparerings.com. We'll give them a plug. They're cool. But it's a silicone ring with a specific design on it, a double cut design.
Tire tread, yeah.
Yeah, which is a type of tire tread on a lot of like the big, fancy, badass pulling tractors. When they came in and were talking about all this stuff, they were talking about this ring, and I don't remember what type of ring. You were talking about like Quelo rings and stuff like that, and then pulling tractors and all of this, and I was sitting there like, I'd never heard of Quelo rings and all these other other brands that were like kind of what they're like. Quelo also makes like silicone rings and different rings, and I heard pulling tractors, so I was thinking, okay, there's some silicone ring that goes on a tractor that they're creating and selling.
Like a ring that's part of the
like a belt
tractor.
or something. Yeah. And I was just sitting there clueless for probably like the first 30, 45 minutes of the meeting.
Because they had a ring with them. You're like, what? Does this like stretch and go on?
So it was...
oh, that's awesome.
I was very confused, but it turned out, it's just
I was just proud.
band.
Like, I knew what they were talking about. And of all the products in the entire universe that they could have been creating and come to us for, that was just, maybe that's why it was my favorite. It was just something that I actually was interested in, and people I know were interested in it. So,
it was just a really fun project.
And we got to go see their friends pulling tractor.
I mean, we did obviously logo, website. We set up their e-commerce side of their website too, so they're selling on sparerings.com. They're $19.95 a ring. If you want a silicone ring, they are actually really cool. But we did the logo, website. We went out and took some product photos of them at a tractor. We helped them set up all their social media. We did some posting for them for an initial launch period, and now they're running their social, which is awesome. Reagan's,
I know their tractor puns and jokes are hilarious. I'm here for it.
Reagan's in the communications and PR and social media field, so she knows what she's doing, and they're doing awesome there. And so it was just a really fun overall project from start to finish with everything we got to do for them. So hopefully they continue to, get sales and the business continues to grow for them. So you took my favorite project.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
We would have discussed this ahead of time.
No, I mean,
I could have picked a different
I didn't want to know before. So that was favorite for last year. Do you have a favorite that you're looking forward to this year?
Well, technically we started it last year, but we will be finishing it this year and publishing it. The Discover, Explore, Love Tipton.
Oh, yeah. I've kind of forgotten.
It's like a visitor's guide / magazine / information packet, I guess. But we met with Keegan when he was still at the chamber, and then we met with Lindsay, who's in charge of the Main Street Association. And this was just me like, hey, we don't have anything like this in Tipton. It would be nice if there was something for people when they come here that's like, hey, this is what Tipton has to offer.
Yeah.
So I came to them with an idea and was like, hey, do you guys want to help with this? Mostly because they know people. But we've done everything from like what there is to do with kids, what's going on with the schools, what's going on with the businesses, the restaurants, what's going on downtown with the new whatever green space projects they're doing. I don't know what it's called. The anniversary of the Diana. So everything is just what's so great about Tipton, and I think that's pretty cool to learn more about the community that we're in, and that kind of led to us doing our Best of Tipton project for the first time. Is just trying to be part of the community here and get to know everybody. And I'm excited to finish it and get it out there for people.
Yeah, which you mentioned the Best of Tipton, which is kind of one of my favorite projects for this year, last year, because there hasn't been anything like this. This is another thing that we kind of came up with on our own. It's not necessarily a new concept in general, but in terms of for Tipton County, it is. The chamber does their awards, but it's more voted on by the people of the chamber. It's only chamber members.
Yeah.
But the Best of Tipton for us was more than just businesses. It was the people in Tipton, hairstylist. I always say hairstylist and then draw a blank on everybody else.
We had best plumber, I think, best electrician, best
bartender.
teacher.
It was really just people in the community that, aren't going to get recognized for stuff they do at work necessarily, or their business. That's more of a business related type thing, but we wanted the people of Tipton to be recognized too. So,
and I feel like at the beginning we're like, this could be a huge bust.
Yeah.
This is not anything people have ever heard of. What if we do all this work and nothing? Yeah. And then we posted it and immediately
the
people
nominations
were like, oh my gosh, let's go hog wild.
Yeah, which I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast, have we?
No, because we haven't announced any information yet.
Well, but we didn't even talk about the Best of Tipton at all, nomination. We opened nominations 1st of December, and we got almost 700. I know it was over 670 at one point, so almost 700 nominations, and we thought that was
just people nominating, that's 700
individuals
people who could have nominated 40.
Yeah, there's 35 categories.
Yeah.
For people to nominate and vote on, and almost 700 people submitted nominations, which was great. We thought that was fantastic.
That's a lot
for a 2-week time period for Tipton. Yeah, that was awesome. So then we took the top 5 from each category based on the nominations that people submitted, and those were our finalists that now people could vote on once per day. Which I'll say it now if you're listening. We didn't really have a way to control the once per day thing, but we just told people that we set a max number of votes they could enter for the 2-week time period. But hey, oh well.
If you want to vote 14 times in one day, good for you.
You just can't vote anymore. But yeah, so people voted on the top 5. We thought almost 700 nominations was awesome, but we were blown away.
5,000 votes.
Have you looked since it closed yesterday?
It was 40, almost 5,000.
Yeah. Almost 5,000 people, 5,000 individual submissions. And again, there's 36 different categories.
It didn't actually close because it's gone up since yesterday.
It was supposed to close. So
we had 5,002 submissions.
Yep. As of December 31st when it officially closed. I set it to automatically close, but I guess it hasn't. So, whoops. But yeah, just getting 5,000 submissions is crazy.
And the amount of people, even just on my personal page, that I had seen share it and say hey, I got nominated. Please vote for me.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool because there hasn't ever been anything like this. And a lot of people were kind of shocked that they even got nominated.
Yeah.
Obviously you're good at whatever it is that you do.
Yeah. And it's this is kind of transitioning into goals for this year that I want to talk about is, this is definitely something that we've struggled a little to do since we've opened up our office in Tipton is being more involved in the community. I think we're limited to a certain point because our services, our price point, and just the general business landscape. There's not endless opportunities to be involved in the community or to work with all these businesses because a lot of them are smaller and don't have as much just capital sitting around to hire us, which totally fine, understandable. So one of the goals for me is to have the business more involved in the local community, whether it's Tipton or Anderson, for 2024. And since we've launched Best of Tipton, we've gotten obviously way more website traffic because we hosted the voting on our website. So that was one big thing. We drove everybody to our website so that they saw who we are if they weren't aware of us, and saw everything that we do, which is awesome. But
we're also
just the recognition,
personally visit all the winners.
Yeah, so just the recognition from people sharing on Facebook has gained us a lot of Facebook followers, which is awesome, because those are people specifically in Tipton that we will be hopefully, engaging with, talking with, seeing out in the community, doing whatever. But then, yeah, Kaylee said each of the winners, we're going to give them their decal or their prize. It's a decal that they can put on their window or wherever they want to put it. And so we're going to automatically, there's some of them will be repeats, but, there's several people that are winners that I haven't met before personally. That
most of the individual people, I don't even know. And I've lived here for 8+ years.
Yeah. So I think this whole initiative, it wasn't necessarily hey, let's do this selfishly so that we can get our name out there more. It's just kind of, that's something that's an after effect of it because we're the ones doing it. But I think it is something that's really going to boost our, I don't know how to say this, our not like brand awareness in Tipton County specifically, which is a huge benefit to us.
And I'm really hoping that next year around November, people will be like, hey, you going to do that again?
Yeah, which we are. It's not just a 2023 thing. We're going to do the whole nomination, the whole voting processes again every single year. So if you didn't win this year, you could win next year.
Yeah.
And,
we might have different categories.
Yeah, we got some feedback on the categories and things like that.
Hey. We just made it up.
Yeah.
I based it off of, I think, Kokomo, which is a huge city. So they had a lot more options on some of them.
Yeah. But that's, I think, one of my big goals that's not necessarily measurable by numbers or growth or income, revenue, all of that stuff, is just to be more involved and get our name out there. I know it's not a measurable goal, so it's not technically a great goal, but and just increase the brand awareness in our local communities that we're working with. So Best of Tipton's a huge help, but then just, hopefully the chamber, there isn't a lag with Keegan moving on from the chamber to be the mayor, but I almost said governor, but hopefully there's a bunch of chamber events that we can go to and make that a priority. There is one really big thing in the works that I can't necessarily announce yet, but it'll be a huge help as well. More to come on that, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. So that'll be
very secretive.
Yeah, it's just not, it's verbally finalized. It's just not contractually finalized. So I don't want to say something. And
hey, as a side note, that's what I wrote down earlier.
What?
Lessons learned this year. Contracts are important.
Yes. So that was my main goal to talk about. Do you want to talk about your goal? Then we'll go to lessons learned.
My goals. I just had, these are like specific project things,
That's
goals
fine.
or things I want to learn.
That's probably more measurable goals than me just saying be more involved in the community.
Yes.
So.
My main goal was more publications, just because that's what I enjoy the most. Mm-hmm. Which also was the thing I was most proud of, is I got 2 new magazines. One of them was supposed to be a one-time thing, and apparently I did a good job, because now they want me to do 4 more next year. So
yeah, which is
it's
awesome.
all within the same company that I already do magazines for, but at different office hubs.
Yeah. So
and
Goshen and somewhere in Michigan.
And Traverse City.
Yeah.
And those are pretty large areas with a lot of people.
Yep.
And just the fact that I've worked with the same editor in Anderson for so long, and he gave my name to people within the company, and they've now contacted me. I think that's really cool. Like, to me, that's exciting that I've built a relationship and that he would recommend me, because a lot of these places, like even in Anderson, they have a whole design center full of people who could do this job.
But they have you do it.
But they came to me because magazines are what I do well. Yeah. So, anyways, that was what I was proud of, but I also just want to do more.
Yeah.
I like the magazines or the booklets or the brochures or anything like that. I am going to branch out and try to get more websites this year now that I feel a little bit more comfortable.
Yep. And my time will likely be diverted to other things moving forward. So yeah. Kaylee's going to fill in and do a lot of the website work that I have done over the past few years. And I'll still help when needed, obviously. But
I think it just takes me longer because I'm a little bit OCD about the design of the website. Not only like the content being correct, but
yeah.
When the lines don't line up or anything, like I have to fix that where you maybe not necessarily worried about those things.
Yeah.
But I also have been obsessing on TikTok about product photography because I'm not a people photographer. I am terrible at it. That's just a fact.
Yep.
There's no need for me to get better at it when there are so many people who do that well. But as far as I know, anywhere around here, there's nowhere that does product photography. And since we got into all this with spare rings, I just think it's fascinating. And it's something, even if I do it as a hobby, that's one thing I want to learn. So,
yeah, I mean, it can definitely benefit the business too. I think we've had people reach out about product photography. It's not something we advertise that we do. And
yeah. Well, it doesn't even have to be like major products. Like even if you sell something on Amazon, like something stupid or something small on Amazon, you have to have it photographed correctly.
Yeah.
So even if that's all I do is photograph things on white background for Amazon,
yeah,
that's still something we could offer. I just have been into the videos where they go all out with different layers of glass and having water come this way and sand go this way. And, it's so cool to watch though. And
yeah,
just even the lighting setups, I've watched videos for hours just about angling light
Kaylee's
at a product.
Blow all of our money on lighting equipment for this project.
We don't really have a space to do that either, but
we can make one.
If I get good at it.
Yeah.
I just like taking pictures of things. So this seems like the most useful way to make that into a hobby.
Makes sense.
Goals.
Yeah. Sweet. So you kind of mentioned this already as the lessons learned. One of the big ones, if you can, it was your lesson learned. Well, it was both of ours, but
yeah.
Contracts are important for small businesses. For any business,
for any
really,
business. But even if it's people you know.
Yeah. Specifically for small businesses where one bad thing could ruin your business, essentially. Mm-hmm. And we ran into that situation early this year. Seems like forever ago at this point. But early in 2023, we had an issue with it. The contract, or a lack of contract issue, and somebody wanted a refund. And
right, because it was a verbal... The whole thing was verbal agreements on this is the work that will be done.
Which is weird because I've had contracts in place before. We've done contracts for a lot of other stuff prior to this project. I don't want to go into too many details, but we've had that. It's just Kaylee had done some work from him leading up for this. And
right. And everything up until that point was fine.
Yeah.
And we were doing more for him. And I guess the timeline that was never really agreed upon. There was just a lot of miscommunication and somehow got all jumbled around.
Yeah.
But if we would have had a contract, we could have just said, well, this is what it is.
Yeah.
And of course, like, we're a small business. Refunding him was the correct thing to do in this situation because we don't want to get into a big argument about it when he wasn't satisfied.
Yeah.
Like, we want him to be satisfied with the end product either way. He wasn't necessarily... I don't even think the product was the issue. I think it was just a timeline. But...
yeah, it was just a
big lesson learned.
I honestly... it was just a big shock. Jumped on a meeting one time and it was like, I don't like this. I want a refund, like, out of the blue. And I'm just like... But like from a small business standpoint, we had already deposited and paid the, like, they do the 50% deposit for the project. Next pay period, I'm paying that out to whoever was working on the project. We set back X amount, whatever. But like that money had already came and gone from our bank account. And, it's not the end of the world. Like it didn't break us, but it was not great because we had to come up with that money. It was just stressful
for something we weren't expecting.
Yeah.
So that's our big business lesson of the year, I would say.
Yeah.
Also, taxes coming out quarterly, which is the smart thing to do.
That's required. Our stuff is business taxes.
Business taxes coming out quarterly is a big chunk of money.
Yeah.
I had never done that. I always just filed once when I was freelancing with my personal taxes, and that was a big shocker to me, like how much comes out all the time.
To clarify, Kaylee's taxes are not coming out. Kaylee's are coming out. She's a W-2 employee, so hers are coming out every paycheck. But the business has to do payroll taxes, which is separate from your individual taxes and separate from 1099 contractor individual taxes. Completely different landscape.
Yes.
You're kind of saying it confusingly. But from the business standpoint, yes, we had to do payroll taxes that we pay, I think, states every month and then federal's quarterly or vice versa. I don't do it anymore because I didn't understand it. So our payroll company does it. But once a quarter, we get, taxed for a lot. And it's like every quarter is different. So it's just another expense.
Thing you can't really plan for.
You can plan for it. It's just something that kind of, it's different than when I was just running the business or different when you were just a freelancer doing 1099 contract stuff. So a lot of things come up as a small business owner that you've never ran into before, and you kind of just have to adapt. And a lot of it involves money and a lot of it sucks, but hey, I wouldn't trade it still. So, goals. We already talked about those.
I talked about goals. Did
you
have specific goals? You pretty much just talked about generalized.
For the business, my general goal is, yes, being more involved in the community. I think personal goals related to the business is stepping back from some of the day-to-day stuff and maybe passing off some stuff, which we've already talked about the website stuff. I'm passing off, not all of it, maybe all of it. I don't know. Depends on the workload of the new project we have coming up. But being able to step back and not feel like I have to do everything is a big one. And I know for long-term growth, that's good. Personal goals. I guess one thing that we're going to be focusing on there, we've kind of already set up and done, referring back to the content planning for the year, is building out more strategies and processes to help the business function like not a small business that has no plan going forward, right? Bigger businesses, they have weekly meetings or they have monthly meetings. They do have these processes in place to help run the business. We've kind of just been
winging it.
Yeah, like winging it. Like we're two freelancers who just happen to have an office together.
Yeah.
And so we tried to do weekly meetings it's been on my calendar for a year now, but we did it in the middle of the week on a Wednesday at noon and we did it like twice and then it never stuck. So getting back in that, having more of a structure for the meetings, what we're going to do each week, what worked last week, what didn't work last week, goals for this week, what's the content going out this week, all that. Mondays, we were going to do 8, but Hannah and Kaylee both don't want to do 8. So, but still.
Some of us are not morning people.
12:30 on Monday, make it a priority first of the week to really talk about what's going on in the business and plan ahead and discuss on a more regular basis what's working, what's not working, on top of a monthly content meeting where we're planning, here's week 1 of February, here's week 2 of February, here's week 3, and then we, get into it more, those Monday morning meetings for that week. So developing more processes to help streamline things, to make the business run smoother, make our processes for content creation and working with our clients smoother and better as well. So those are kind of my personal goals for the business this year.
I should have added to mine to get better at selling myself or selling our services, I guess, that I get uncomfortable when it's people that I know. I don't want to bother them. Like, I'm not good at just being like, I already asked you once, and if you never text me back, then that's the end of it.
Yep.
I'm not good at being consistent about, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be annoying. I don't want to, I don't know. I guess if they say no, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So to get better at
being a salesperson,
because that is not my forte, which retail sales I am so great at. Yeah. I can sell you anything you want, but selling the fact that people should pay us to do something.
I think it's different
a different
because
world.
It costs more than buying $30 flowers.
Yeah.
But it is hard, and especially when you're dealing with people because you have that personal relationship. You don't want it to feel like you're abusing that relationship to get money from them.
Yes, and I feel like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Or like I know what we charge for things and whether or not I think that's going to be doable.
Yep. It's tough. I think that's one thing too is setting our price points and sticking to them.
Yeah, because
we've gotten a lot better.
We did get better this year, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because I used to be like, oh, this person's my friend.
Mm-hmm.
They can have it for cheaper. And then I'm doing twice as much work because they are my friend. They're going to tell me if they don't like it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I've always given deals and negotiated. And negotiating is important to a degree. But when you set the bar at below what you should be making and then negotiate down from there on top of that, you really take a hit. So we've, at least on the social media side of things, I know Kaylee's done it on her hourly projects too, but sticking to the price points that we know we should be making. And, if somebody can't afford it, no feelings hurt. I understand.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay X amount for some things for our business too, and that's just how it goes. But
it's hard to compete sometimes with people who can do a logo for $5 on the internet.
Yeah,
or
there's somebody could hire somebody on Fiverr to do their social media posts, create 10 posts for the month for $30. And it's like, that's not sustainable at all.
Yeah.
And you're going to pay for what you get, because once you hire that person, you're going to realize it's all generic graphics that they've used for other companies that they just slap your logo on instead. And does it convert? No. So you're wasting $30 and not helping your business at all.
It's like when we're getting new clients or we're meeting with potential clients and their very first question is, well, how much is it going to cost me?
It's a red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, business owners, some of them understand that they need to invest in their business if they want to really see growth. And you have to invest time and money, and hiring the professionals to do it, investing that money, you're going to reach your goals, right? So like as a business owner, what's your goal? Whether it's to run a successful business where I don't have to spend 80 hours a week at the business, but I know I'm making money and I can travel or spend more time with my family. If you're not willing to invest time and money into it to get to that point, you're never going to be there. Right. So
you're never going to grow.
Yeah. So what are your business goals and how can we help you reach those goals? Whether it's you want to be more involved, you want to be more seen in the community. Okay, great. Let's build out your social media plan. well, I don't know how to do it. Okay, awesome. We can help you create the content so that it frees you up to go be more involved in the community or do these other events or run your business. Like that's the biggest thing for us is we free up your time so that you don't have to stress and worry about stuff. And honestly, so that it probably looks better than what you or somebody on your team who's not trained to do it can do it. Yeah. So
that's definitely a good one. Like overall, just knowing what our time is worth.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just if it's the same in your world as it is in the design world, but I just even recently, I have a friend that's a photographer that we were having this same discussion about pricing and the amount of hours she spends, not even just at the event that day, but editing and planning ahead and meeting with them and going to the venue and
it's a lot.
Just completely undercharging. But she's like, but I want people to hire me. Like I've been there.
Yep.
And I guess now we're kind of in the stage of like, we have to make that much because we don't have time to do it and not make that much. I don't know.
Yep.
So being better about it for next year.
Yeah. And that's the thing is you have to get to that point eventually or else you're never going to grow and succeed. So,
which was the whole point of us getting out of freelancing and
yep.
to become a legitimate business.
Yep. So, anything that we missed to kind of wrap things up here? I think I covered everything on your list.
Yep.
Which I guess I didn't really need to write a list because I can see your list from here, but that's okay. But overall, 2023 was a really big, important year for the business. I think it helped us learn a lot and helped us gave us a path for moving forward to continue to grow. So yeah, I was pleased with it. There's ups and downs. I think there's always going to be ups and downs and a lot of stress, a lot of time, but we came out on top and already 2024 is looking to be incredible. So
hopefully.
Yeah. Any last words before we wrap up?
Not that I can think of.
Cool.
Did you get any stats from Hannah to talk about?
Hannah posted 1 million posts on social media.
Sounds like
combined.
Fake news.
No, I did not get anything from her. We're doing a podcast later in the month about favorite projects and stuff, and we can go over social media stats specifically then. So this was more just overall business and threw in some of your design stuff, but don't want to drag on forever. So, thank you everybody. I guess a big thank you to everybody who's listened to the podcast, supported our business. A lot of exciting things last year and upcoming this year. So, please continue to spread the word, share the stuff that we do. We're posting on social media a lot, showing off the work that we do. Thank you to everybody who does share it. Word of mouth has been one of, if not our biggest sales drivers. So, please continue to do that if you want to support us. And, you can also support the podcast specifically by going to, bit.ly/digital wrap up with the D in digital, the W in wrap, and the U in up, all capitalized. It'll be in the show notes as well if you're listening or watching on YouTube. But a lot of exciting things coming up, a lot of new content every single week. We're going to be content machines this year. That's the goal. So thank you, everybody, for a great 2023. And we will be back next week for the next episode in Digital Wrap Up in 2024. And we have some exciting things to talk about next week. So take care, everybody, and we will see you on the next episode of Digital Wrap Up.